Hello guys, and welcome back to the Kendall's Creations Knitting Podcast. I need to kick some stuff really quick so I don't keep hitting it. One second. Okay. I have to move my box of Cheez-Its. So this is let me look. My mail just got delivered. This is the 24th episode of the podcast. And we have quite a bit to talk about. I lost my first FO of, there it is. It's behind my computer. So you guys saw these last week, but, well, you saw one of them last week. Not last week, last episode. Currently struggling to get them aligned right. Oh my lord. Okay, good enough. I have two of the Skipping Stones socks by Northern Knits and Pearls. That is my brother leaving, if you can hear. Beautiful purple. This was knit in Knit Picks Hawthorne Tonal hand painted in the color Ashland, and it's a fingering weight yarn. It was in my stash for a while, and I figured might as well use it. That is my first finished object. We're gonna put my feet up for a second. My second, and I just dropped. Sorry. My second is these socks. These are the Mermaid's Tails socks by Liz Harris on Ravelry. They are a textured sock, so it's textured in the leg on the front and back, whereas this one was just in the front. And then it's your standard slip stitch, heel flap, turn, gusset, and then there's no pattern on the bottom of the foot, but there is on the top until the toe. These knit up very fast. I really enjoyed making these, especially because I don't think I would have liked the yarn in a sock just like this, like the speckled way it is, but I love how it looks in, like, with the texture. And so, and all of the Ravelry pages and the yarn I used will all be linked in the description. These are free pattern. I'm 98% sure they're free pattern. These are not. I talked about it last time, but I applied to be a tester for her most recent sock that's coming out soon. Did not get accepted, but I got a little coupon code for a pattern, and so I used it on these socks, and these were my first textured socks and my first time doing cables. So it was a journey. And then again, these are free pattern. And so I have one half finished object. That is also a lip. Another Mermaid's Tail sock, and you can see the texture better on this one. The pattern writer did say not to use heavily speckled yarn because the texture will get lost. And it does kind of, but because there's such a big contrast between the lightest and darkest shade, you can still make out that there is a texture, which I really like. And, like, especially on the foot, in my opinion, you can still see the texture pretty nice. The leg is a little bit harder, but oh well. So there's this one, which is, again, also the Mermaid's Tail socks. I did this one a little bit differently than I did this one. So in this one, I was worried about yardage since it was my first time making the sock. And the instructions, I read them wrong the first time. And so I thought they would use more yarn than they actually did. So I only did 10 rows of ribbing. And then since the chart is, like, one chart repeat is 8 rows, I did 6 chart repeats for the leg and stopped at 48, I think. 8 times 6 is 48. Yeah, that sounds right. Instead of 50, but it's 2 rows. It's not that big of a deal. And then with the toe, I had to do it a little weird because I do 75 rounds. I mean, not the toe, the foot. I do 75 rounds for the foot of my sock because of my shoe size. And the pattern, I did it 9 times on the foot on both of these. The foot for these is exactly the same. It's just the leg that's a little bit different. I'll talk about that in a second. So I did 9 pattern repeats on the foot, which brought me to 72 rows. And then I did the first 3 rows of the repeat. And then I went into the toe, which should look very familiar because the way the decreases worked out, like, I'm pretty sure it says let me look, because I'm like 98% sure. Yeah, it says repeat the decrease rows until there's 15 stitches on each needle, and that just wouldn't have happened because you decrease 4 of the stitches per decrease round, and I had an even number of stitches when I started. I used a 64 stitch count, and that's what this pattern this pattern has a 64 stitch count option. And so I don't quite know how you get 15, but so I just did what I did for this one and went to 12, and then did the Kitchener stitch as usual. And then with this one, I did 20 rows of ribbing, and I'm doing it with the second sock too, but the second sock is still getting worked up. And so I did 20 rows of ribbing because I knew, I didn't talk about the yarn I used. I'll do that in a second. Because I still have a decent amount of yarn left from this one, and the yarn I'm using for this has more yarn per 100 grams than this one. So, we'll just move that back. I don't remember what this will go there. And so I felt comfortable doing 20 rows of ribbing, and I still have, this is how much I have left, and it should be more than enough. But the yarn I used for this is a Hobby Lobby yarn. It's Yarn Bee, like hand dyed in, I forget the color. Hold up. Give me 1 second. I have the ball band right there. Let me grab it. So I couldn't find the ball band, but I went on Hobby Lobby's website to find it, and the color is marbled teal for this one. And for this sock, I used Cascade Yarns Heritage 7525. It's from their solids, and the color is 5656. That's like the number. I don't know the name of it. Sorry about that. But so yes, I do have one sock finished. Very fun, very exciting. And then that leads me into my whips, which the first one I'll talk about is the second sock. Again, I did 20 rows of ribbing and then 6 pattern repeats for the leg, and I've done 4 rows on the heel flap. I highly doubt you can actually see it. Oh no, you can. So I did 4 rows on the heel flap. And I don't remember when I started this. I want to say Monday or Tuesday or something like that. Something along those lines. No. Sunday or Monday. One of those two. I don't know. But this one is coming along a little bit slower than this one, because I had a 5-day weekend. We were supposed to have a 4-day weekend, because the quarter ended, the semester ended, like that Thursday was our last day of the semester, Friday was the teacher work day, Saturday, Sunday, then Monday was the MLK day, and then Tuesday we had a snow day. So I had a lot of time to work on this during those 5 days, and I finished it. Bada bing, bada boom, finished. So I think I finished this on Monday. Yeah, that sounds right. Something like that. I don't know. And this is what I have of this so far. I'm hoping I can get the whole heel flap done tonight. Today has been a very exhausting day school-wise. I was just very mentally drained because there was just a lot, and we had yesterday off because it was like negative 11 degrees, and so I was panicking doing all of the work because I was supposed to have 3 tests today. I only ended up having 1, and all of like the review guides and stuff were due today, but they all got pushed back to Monday. Like 2 of them got pushed back to Monday, so I was very panicky last night, and I didn't get a lot of sleep, and the sleep I did get was not good. And then I was like upset that I put myself through that when I had the whole weekend to do it. And so, and calculus is just hard. Like, it was hard. So I was very out of it today. I was exhausted. I was ready for school to be over before lunch even started. And I have 3 classes after lunch, 2 of which are AP classes. So I'm very excited to be home. I'm going to record this, maybe knit for like 10-15 minutes, and then probably take a nap. I'm going to try to stay up until at least 6, but it is currently 3:30, and because you guys are on my bed, and I'm looking at my bed, and I'm just like imagining myself on it right now, and I'm very tempted to just lay down and go to sleep right now, but I can't because I got responsibilities. And we actually have one other whip. You guys have not seen her in a long time, and I do have quite a bit to say about her. I'm on the yarn. If you guys have been here for a while, you might have recognized the color of the yarn. Ba-boom. I finally picked up the My Little Secret crop again. Now, this one is a little bit different. Well, this is a little bit different than last time you saw it. So, last time I talked about this, I made a mistake and I did not change needles in between the 1x1 and 3x3 ribbing. And the fabric, which is still doing this, but I've decided I'm just gonna go on no matter what. If it fails, it fails. The fabric was not shrinking, like, at all. And I just was anxious that me not changing the needle size affected the fabric. But since it's still, like, not shrinking, I highly doubt that. I think it's just me. But I have decided this is at a little bit over 3 inches of 3x3 rib, meaning I'm about halfway done with the body. And so I have about 3 more inches to do, and then I'll bind off the stitches on the back. And then I'll just do the top. Like, I don't even care if it's like, I mean, this isn't as bad as the velvet one was. Like, there's not as, like, if I were to bind this off, I do feel as though it could fit on me right now. Like, when I tried on my old one after I bound off the stitches, the top came out to, like, here, which is not good for me at all. And granted, that was the back, but, like, still not great, if that's any indicator of what the front is going to be like. And so I will bind off the stitches. I will do the front. I will do the double knit strap. I will be going up a needle size because I've made that mistake last time, and since I'm using my interchangeables on this set, I'm currently using a 3.5 for the 3x3 rib, and I'll probably go up to 3.75. I don't think I want to go up to a 4 because I feel like that's just too drastic of a jump. So I'll go up to like a 3.75 for the strap, just to get a looser gauge, because it is double knit, and so it's very structured, and I feel comfortable going up a needle size and not sacrifice any strength and integrity of the strap. It does also say in the pattern, I need to find it because I want to quote her exactly. Feel free to go up a couple of needle sizes if you like, and the I-cord will work out much more quickly. So that makes me kind of want to go up to a 4. And I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, okay? And so the yarn I'm using is a cotton yarn. Surprise, surprise. If you guys know me, you know I don't like how most cotton yarns feel. They just feel way too rough and way too, like, icky to me. But I'm using Lion Brand Pima Cotton in the color Dragonfly. I got 2 balls just because I want to be safe. And since I'm making this top just a little bit, I'm making this an inch longer than my last one, I want to just be absolutely sure I have enough yarn. And it was like 50% off, so I was really only paying for 1 ball. And so it's okay. And I really hope this works out. I will, before I make any judgments on it, I will block it just to see if maybe the fabric, I did read somewhere that warm water kind of makes it shrink more. And so I'll use warm water, a little bit warmer than my usual. I usually use, like, I don't take the temperature of the water. I usually use, you know, lukewarm water. It's not cold, but it's not, like, hot. And so I'll go a little bit hotter with this. And I don't have to block this in my I don't have to soak this in my bathtub. I can use, like, a bowl or a tin or something, because I've only ever blocked sweaters. And the bowls we have in my house wouldn't fit a sweater with all of the water that would be needed to submerge it, and so I just did it in the bathtub, because you've got to get creative sometimes, you know? And so I will block it. I'll let it dry completely before I make any judgments on it. I'm hoping that either this shrinks on its own. If it shrinks on its own, I'm not going to block it. I didn't block the first one I made just because I didn't, and it's perfectly fine, and I love how it turned out. I mean, the only thing I kind of dislike a little bit is the bottom hem. The bottom hem flares out a little bit when it's like scrunched, but when it's on me, you like it doesn't do that at all. So I don't really care all too much. And if this does work out, I will be ordering more of this yarn. Got a Joann's gift card for Christmas, and so it doesn't really count as buying yarn if I don't spend my money on it, right? That's how that works. And so I will be buying more of this yarn in a different color and making a 3rd one, because I do really love these tops. It's just, like, kind of hard to find the right yarn, and I got lucky with this yarn, because this is Lion Brand Cotton Candy Blend yarn, which is now discontinued. So I got lucky with that. But I will also, after this, I will also eventually try the regular cotton blend to see. It's a little bit different of a mix by like 2% of cotton and polyester, but like it's not that big of a difference. And so I will use that yarn to see if maybe it was just the yarn all along and I needed a different type of yarn. But hopefully this works out fine because I do love the colors that this comes in. And I want to make more. I'm very happy I didn't buy all of the colors I wanted at once. And I just bought one. Because if I bought all the colors I wanted at once and then this doesn't work out, I would be devastated. So, good thinking ahead, me. But that is all of my whips. And now I do have some acquisitions. So I really only have one since I have met you guys last. My yarn from Fiber for the People still hasn't come in. I don't think it's shipped either, which is fine. It says, the website said this, that there's a 5-week turnaround time. It's been 2. It was like 2 weeks yesterday. And so I'm not worried about it at all. Let me really quickly log in. And yep, it's still pending. It's perfectly fine. And so my plan for that is to make these socks, the Skipping Stone socks, in it. And again, if you hear last week, I got a beautiful like mustard yellow, goldish kind of thing. And it would look really good with this pattern in my opinion. Hence why I've been making Mermaid's Tail socks, because I just don't want to get sick of this pattern. Because I'm so excited to use that yarn for it, because it is hand-dyed yarn. That's a big deal for me. And so, perks of having a dog. And so, I bought some yarn. I bought one thing of yarn from Forge Fiber Company on Etsy. She will be linked in the description. Her yarn is absolutely beautiful, by the way. And it's pretty cheap. I paid $34.69 for one hank, and that's including shipping. So in reality, I think it was like $28, which is, let me head over to my spreadsheet, which is a little bit more expensive than Fiber for the People, which is at $24, but Farmer's Daughter Fibers is $30, and the Little Foxes is $27. So it's pretty averagely priced. And so I got her Dusk Fingering non-superwash merino. It's this beautiful pinky purpley. I will put a picture up somewhere of the yarn. And I bought this yarn because I found a pattern, but I'm going to talk about the yarn. I got non-superwash because my last non-superwash yarn was from Forge Fiber Company, I think. Forest Lane Fiber Company. Instagram website will be linked in the description. And it's what I used to make these socks. And I absolutely love how they feel. They're so amazing and I love them. I didn't weave in the ends and I haven't worn them because I wore these socks because they were the only socks I could find. So I very quickly wove in the ends, put them on, and left. I just, especially right now because there's a lot of snow and there's a lot of dirty snow because I have to walk on the street to get to my bus stop. I don't want to wear these while there's a ton of snow on the ground and potentially have them get really dirty. Like I understand socks are meant to be worn and all that stuff, and they will be around the house. I think I actually have worn these once with this end not woven in, because when I finish a sock I always weave in the end I used to kitchen or the toe. And this was my starting yarn, so I didn't weave it in. And so, I think I've worn these around the house. They are so amazing. I love them so much. I will definitely be ordering from her again. She's actually also based in Cleveland, which is great. I do love supporting other Ohio-based businesses, especially Cleveland-based ones, because that's where I'm based, and it's amazing. She had actually gone to a few Browns games that my family was at, and that was amazing. Like, I thought that was so cool. But she will not be selling yarn again until spring, which is perfectly fine. It's her business. Of course, she can do whatever she wants. And so instead I bought the yarn from Forge Fiber Company. It says it can be delivered January 9th, which is tomorrow, through February 4th. And I have the tracking for it, of course. And it says it's still in Kansas City, Missouri. And so I highly doubt it'll get here tomorrow, unless for some reason it says it's still at the distribution center. And so if for some reason it just wasn't scanned going out and it's like on a plane here right now, in theory I could get it tomorrow because I do live right by an airport that does handle commercial freight. I know that because my mother works in the freight industry and she has had to call many times about freight. And Cleveland, even though it was really backed up for a while because of the whole Florida situation and the Gulf Coast with all of their ports, travel and postage has gotten a little bit better. And so, in theory, they could be... Ooh, sorry, I just saw some yarn. I'm going to open it in a new tab and look at it after this. So in theory, it could be delivered tomorrow if it gets scanned in in Ohio today or like early tomorrow morning. But I highly doubt it, and that's perfectly fine. But as I said before, I found a pattern. And I was planning on doing it with the pink that's right there. And then I was on Etsy for whatever reason. I think I was looking at somebody I follow on Instagram, just like their yarn shop, just to see what they have. And this yarn, the yarn I bought, popped up, and I thought it just fit better than that like bright baby pink with the yarn. The yarn is the DNA Socks at Knitting Hoods. The Ravelry will be linked in the description. This is also a free pattern, and I will put up a picture again somewhere. And if you guys know me, you know I'm a science person. I love science. It makes sense. And DNA has been something that's always been very cool to me. And so when I saw these socks, I gasped and I said, oh my god, I have to make those. So I got the pattern, and then I got the yarn, and now I'm waiting for yarn to get delivered to do it with this pattern. And if the yarn gets delivered, I have an extra motivation to finish this sock, which hopefully I can do over the weekend. No promises. But that'll be finished. Hopefully before or like a day or two after the yarn gets delivered, depending on when it gets delivered. And so I'm very excited about this. This is going to have to be my first time going solely off a chart, because, like, this had a chart and this had a chart, but they also had written instructions with them, and this pattern does not. But the chart is pretty simple. I think I understand what's going on. I am going to watch a video on how to read knitting charts beforehand, just to like make sure, mainly because I'm not, oh no, it tells me. So, and this pattern is set up for DPNs, and I use Magic Loop, and so the way the rows and charts and stuff are talked about is a little weird, but I can understand, like, aside from the chart, it does have to get, like, one, there's a boomerang heel, which one I've never heard of in my life before, but apparently it exists. Don't know about that. If I research it and think it's too hard, I'll just do my standard heel flap and gusset. And, like, the pattern, the chart is on, like, the outsides. It's kind of like this one, where, like, it's kind of like lining the front of the sock. And so I just, like, have to figure out how many, like, not stitches between, but like stitches from the end the chart is, because there's like a 1 stitch buffer essentially in the chart, but I highly doubt it's actually 1 stitch from the end, because like one, you have to work the rest of the row until then, but I have to figure that out, which is, it's fine. It's seriously not that big of a deal. And the chart is in 26 row repeats, so for the foot, I will be doing, not for the foot, for the leg, I will be doing 2 of them. And then for the foot, I'll have to go over my 75 row, I don't want to say limit, but like standard, and do 3 sets of them, which is 78, 79, something like that. But it's not a big deal. I can take out like a couple of rows in between the decrease rows of the socks. Yes, it'll look different, or it might just not. I don't know. Haven't decided. Who knows? I will cross that bridge when I get there. So I do have to make a little like adjustments to tighten up my socks, but seriously, not a big deal. And since I'm at over 30 minutes, I'm just gonna shut up. Please, as usual, my Instagram and Etsy are linked in the description, as well as everything I can find that I talked about. Please follow me on Instagram. I'm a lot more active over there. I'm not very active, but it's more active. I'm working on it. And I will see you guys not next week again, the week after, with hopefully a pretty big update. Hoping to have, well, these socks are going to be finished. And I'm hoping at least one of the DNA socks, if not both, most likely one. And then I want to have the back stitches at least bound off for this. And so that is all for this podcast episode, for this week's. I will see you guys next week.